West, and all our colleagues from both the Atlantic Technological University and the University of Galway. So our aim in regional skills is basically to make sure employers and enterprise get the education and training response they need. And we know that that response has to be both flexible and industry relevant. We want to ensure that local talent supply is as well aligned to industry needs as possible. So we in Regional Skills are an independent team. We work directly for the Department of Further and Higher Education, Research, Innovation and Science. And we provide a free learning and talent development service for companies of all sizes across all sectors. So with that service, we work with companies in helping them to identify their skills needs. And then we link companies with the education and training providers best suited to their needs. And really what we're trying to do here is to help companies to capitalize on the full range of existing education supports that are already available at all levels, from entry level right up to executive level, and many of which are highly subsidized. Now, today we're going to hear about those heavily subsidized courses, and indeed free courses in areas where there are employment opportunities in the economy. So in terms of the format of the event, we are going to go through a panel discussion first, and then answer any questions you have at the end. If I could ask you to please use the Q&A feature to ask your question, and we'll have plenty of time at the end to go through your queries. Also, just to inform you that this event is being recorded, and we will send the recording to all participants as a follow-up. So now I'd like to introduce our panel of speakers. We have Catherine O'Reilly, Springboard and Online Programme Coordinator with the ATU, Dr. Niamh Nolan, Flexible Learning Development Officer with the University of Galway, and Laura O'Shea, a recent learner from the University of Galway, who's going to tell us about her experiences. Now, I'll come to you first, please, Catherine. I have already alluded to the fact that there is a lot of highly subsidized programs available. Can you tell me what type of funding is actually available?
Hi, Hilary, thanks a million, and good afternoon, everybody. So yes, you're quite right. The Springboard funding model is an extremely successful funding model that the government launched originally in 2011. Now, when it launched the Springboard initiative, originally it was for unemployed people, but what's become very apparent as the years have gone by is that there are as many employed people who wish to upskill and reskill as there are those who wish to return to the workforce. So currently for Springboard 2023, we have two separate funding streams available. We have the traditional Springboard funding scheme itself, which encompasses Springboard and ICT skills conversion programs. And we also have new for 2023, the Human Capital Initiative Pillar 1. So just to give a little bit of background on those. So Springboard programs themselves typically range from levels 6 to level 9 on the National Framework of Qualifications. So that's the framework that all academic qualifications are pitched against. And then our ICT skills conversion programs are typically computing programs at level 8, and they're only open to those applicants who hold a level 8 major award in a non-computing discipline and potentially want to make a career change into the computing space. So at ATU, we offer 1-year and 2-year programs in that area, the only difference being that the 2-year programs are only open to those who are in employment. Now, new for 2023, and what I referenced a second ago, is this Human Capital Initiative Pillar 1 funding. So these are programs that have been, again, as you correctly said, Hilary, specifically identified as are all Springboard programs where there are skills gaps and there are employment needs. So these are programs that are at graduate and postgraduate levels, so level 8 and level 9 on the national framework. So applicants must have completed a level 8 major award to apply for these programs. But irrespective of the funding stream, there's 4 categories of applicant that are eligible to apply for programs of study using the Springboard funding model. So the first category are those who are unemployed. So irrespective of the level of study they come in to study at, those programs are 100% funded using this model. For employed or self-employed, Level 6 programs again are 100% funded, and level 7s to 9s are 90% funded. So the student is liable for 10%, but it still represents a massive saving on the overall tuition fee for any third level program. Then our third category are returners, and these are individuals who are economically dependent or have been on a spouse or partner for 9 out of the last 12 months. So they would have been in a caring role of a child, of a parent, or any other qualified caring role. And again, all levels of study are 100% funded through the Springboard model. And then we have a fourth category, which are recent graduates. So this category can only apply for ICT skills conversion programs and human capital initiative programs, and you must have graduated in 22 or 23, and the same rules would apply regarding funding. If you're unemployed, 100% funding, and if you're in employment, there's 90% funding. So there's massive funding available using this Springboard funding model.
Okay, so you touched on some of the eligibility requirements and some of the programs there. So broadly speaking, what are the eligibility requirements, for example, in terms of the academic requirements and more generally for Springboard Plus?
Yeah, brilliant. So each program, whether it's Springboard or HCI Pillar 1 funded, has its own academic eligibility requirements, and every provider of any program using Springboard would adopt the same approach. So, and the same academic eligibility requirements are applied to all applicants, whether you're a fee-paying applicant or a Springboard funded applicant. But at a very basic level, academic entry into a particular level of program on the national framework is typically dependent on the applicant holding the level beneath. So what I mean by that is, if you have an applicant, for example, that's looking to apply to a level 7 cert in biopharmaceutical science, typically that applicant would have a level 6 cert in a biopharmaceutical or related area. Or if you wanted to apply for a level 8 program, you would then have your level 7 completed in that cognate area. At Atlantic Technological University, we also accept applications from those who wish to have other qualifications and relevant experience taken into consideration. And this is what we refer to as recognition of prior learning, or RPL. And you can find more information on that on our website at www.atu.ie. Aside from that then, so once an applicant has met the academic eligibility requirement and they're offered a place on their chosen Springboard funded program, we then ask for visibility on the Springboard eligibility documentation. So this is a separate set of eligibility rules that a successful Springboard applicant must meet in order to be eligible for Springboard funding. So there are 5 eligibility categories that apply to those who are employed, self-employed, returners, or recent graduates. So we look for proof of their status. So if you're in employment, for example, a wage slip; if you're self-employed, a letter from an accountant, and so on. We look for proof of current residency. So that would be a household bill, a bank statement, or something that's dated within the last 3 months. We ask for proof of nationality. So that is, you must be an EU, an EEA, a UK or Swiss national, or holder of a stamp 4, 5, or 6 visa on a permit card. We then ask for proof of PPSN, and we also have to ask for proof of residency in the EU, EEA, UK or Switzerland for 3 out of the last 5 years. For those that are unemployed, applicants are only asked to provide evidence of their PPS number and their qualifying payment, as the Department of Social Protection will have done all of those residency checks as part of their application for that qualifying payment. But if any, I would encourage any interested applicant to visit the Springboard website at www.springboardcourses.ie/eligibility just to check those out themselves. And as always, they can reach out to ATU at any stage and we can clarify any questions that they might have.
Great. You might have answered my next question, Catherine, actually. So just if somebody actually wants a full list of courses or wants to apply for a course, where did they go to?
So if they want to have just a quick look at the full list of programs, you just go to the Springboard platform at www.springboardcourses.ie, and you'll see at the top of the page there's literally a link to all of the courses. It opens up an Excel spreadsheet that they can search, they can filter. There's also a search option where you can search by provider if you know the college that you wish to attend, or you can search by keyword or by skills area if that's the route that you want to go down. So you can really refine down your search depending on the area of study that you want to go into.
Okay, so Springboard has been around for a couple of years now, and you know, it's been hugely successful. So if I have completed a Springboard program in the past, can I complete another program?
Yes, you can. A student can complete a maximum of 3 Springboard funded programs in a 5-year period. The only caveat I'll mention here is that each year as providers, we are told by the HEA, the Higher Education Authority who govern the Springboard scheme, that we have to give priority to unemployed or returners and those who have never completed Springboard funded studies before. And so that's always there in the first instance, but absolutely the 3 programs in a 5-year period is there. The reason on the capping is to allow those interested in further study using the Springboard funding model a fair chance at securing that funding, so they try to make it fair and equitable to as many people as they can that qualify for that type of funding.
And can a student complete more than one funded program in the same academic year?
No, the same thinking applies, unfortunately not. So a successful applicant can only complete one Springboard or HCI funded program in that year. You can only be enrolled on one program at one time. And again, that's just an important point for applicants to consider when they're choosing courses to apply for. And again, the idea is there a fair chance for all, so that you couldn't have one applicant doing 3 programs, which would then eliminate 2 others from that chance at securing that funding. So again, that's the thinking behind it.
Okay, so there's a lot of information there in terms of kind of the eligibility and where to apply in that. And it's all very straightforward, and you know, we will pass on details of where potential applicants can refer to in the follow-up. But can you give me an example of what types of programs are available at the moment, Catherine?
So across the ATU, we have a suite of 50 Springboard and HCI Pillar 1 funded programs, and they cover everything and anything that you can imagine in the typical traditional academic areas: business, science, engineering, computing, culinary skills, marine. But for example, in Sligo, we offer a level 7 certs in biopharma science, bioprocess engineering, level 6 cert in health informatics, level 9 cert in health project management, a level 9 cert in mechanical engineering, for example. In the Galway Mayo campus, we offer a level 6 cert in culinary skills, level 7 Bachelor of Engineering, manufacturing engineering, a level 8 Bachelor of Engineering in industrial engineering. In ATU Donegal, we offer a level 6 cert in digital skills, level 7 cert in social media and web marketing, a level 8 honours degree in construction contracts management, a level 8 Bachelor of Science in Fire Safety Engineering. So that's only a small sample of what we offer across the entire ATU, and all of our programs can be found at www.atu.ie/springboard, and you can review, analyse, look at different information around all of the programs that are there.
But it's obvious, Catherine, just from that really quick fire round of the list of programs, that they are all industry relevant. They are the skills that we know industry need.
Exactly.
And that's the most important thing about this.
Exactly. And that's the whole preempt of the Springboard funding format. The government have gone out, you guys have gone out, you've identified where the skills gaps are, and then we are building programs all the time to meet those skills gaps, where there's gaps in qualifications, and then the relevant employment from that.
Brilliant. Thanks so much, Catherine. Again, if anybody has any queries, particularly for Catherine, if you want to use the Q&A feature, we can come back on that. Niamh, I'll come to you now, if I can, please. Again, we have mentioned the importance of flexibility. So what should a student expect in terms of the learning environment in, for example, a fully online environment? Niamh, you're just on mute there.
Thanks, Hilary. Delighted to be here. So yeah, flexibility is key. Like, we realise the basic, all that's going on in an adult's working life, or if they're unemployed, there's just so much going on. So we try and make everything as streamlined and as flexible as possible. So for the fully online courses, that basically means that all the resources, all the learning materials, lectures, assignment uploads, assignment briefs, different types of resources will be available online. So most of the institutions, well, I suppose all of the institutions at this stage have their own VLE, virtual learning environment. So the student logs into that and they will see the subjects they are doing. And that's where they'll find all the resources. Generally, then lectures, if they happen, they'll be online using a system such as Zoom. And generally they'll be on evenings or sometimes on weekends, so avoiding working hours. So even if we have students who start off unemployed, which we often do, they actually might get a job in the middle of their course. So we need to ensure that they can continue on with their course while they're starting that new job. So the other types of things that we might have is the very occasionally we do have some blended programs. So blended means that there is some requirement maybe to be on campus. So you might see this in cases where there is a lab element or where their group work is very important. Basically, when there is something that we want to teach that is best done face-to-face. So then coming back again to the fully online learning, it can be a little bit isolating, you know, if you are just at home looking at your computer. So we do draw the students in as much as possible with discussion forums, online, doing deep dives. We try and do a lot of group activities online, like there might be breakout rooms, but it's really probably a good idea if you can make friends with some of the people who are doing the course with you and maybe meet up, you know, offline, face to face, get some study buddies going. I think that really does enrich the course an awful lot. And we do see that the students, you know, they can draw on each other quite a bit. And there's huge expertise among the students themselves because of the type of student it is. So we'd really encourage kind of socialization of the learning as well, you know, and I think that's particularly important if it is fully online, because it can be difficult.
What I've seen over the last number of years is a huge focus on student support across all the institutes. So what types of supports are available to students, especially those that are transitioning back into studies after an absence from formal education for some time?
Yeah, it can be very daunting. We realise that particularly somebody who hasn't been in education for a long time, things have really changed, you know, even in the past, you know, 5 to 8 years, never mind people who might have done their leaving cert as long ago as I did, you know, where we didn't even have email addresses, you know, so we're very well aware of that. So for a start off, most of the, or let's say all of the institutions do have a Springboard coordinator or administrator, like Catherine there in ATU. And we have a lady called Gail Cassidy as well. So from the time you start to make your application, there is support there for you, you know, because sometimes the application, it can be a bit confusing what documents you need to upload or that. So that is there. And then going through to when the application is submitted, if hopefully you have the academic requirements, we'll help you get together the documents for the eligibility from the HEA side. And then as a student, we have lots of resources there. So we have a mature student officer, but we also have subject-specific support, such as we have a SUM centre, which is for people who might want help with the math side of things. We have an academic writing centre, so that would be for people to give them advice and backup on how to write academically for their assignments or otherwise, because that's quite a different way of writing than that would be used to. There's lots of supports, like as a registered student, as a Springboard student, you have access to all the same student supports that our full-time students do. So there's many clubs and societies, as well as support from libraries and that. Like it's almost like, you know, who do I go to? There's so many things, you know, and there's also kind of, we have health services and we have counselling support and that, you know, because mental health is as important as physical health. So yeah, lots there for the students, yeah, to make it as easy as possible.
Brilliant. So just thinking about assessments then, what type of assessment should learners expect and how are they made flexible for the learner?
Yeah, so yeah, assessment is a very important part of the learning journey, really, because what we see is that students just learn so much through the assessment, and that's what we want. It's not just about giving the student marks. We want the assessments to be really worthwhile. So in most cases, what we try to do is actually base the assessment around the work area or the sector that the course speaks to. So for example, we have a lean and quality specialist diploma, the students do a lean project from beginning to end in that course, and it's built up in a phased way gradually. So that is the major part of the assessment the students do in that course. So it could be things like, you know, a written assessment. It could be a report. It might be you do research and then you give a presentation online. There could be a group project where you all contribute to a document, or again, you give a presentation. We'd have some, you know, problem solving type assessments. So basically it's active learning, and in any way we can, we tie it into the students, the sector that's important. Like it may be that if they do a case study, they can do it on their own company, or they can use company data as part of their assessment. So in lots of cases, it's continuous assessment throughout the delivery of the subject or the module. So just say it could be every 3 or 4 weeks, they might have some type of assessment. So that's great. So, you know, they gradually build up their marks and their assessment. It doesn't all come at the very end. In some cases, there are exams, but for our courses anyway, we don't have a lot of exams. We tend to prefer the continuous assessment. We feel there's deeper learning there, but definitely there are exams where appropriate in the Springboard courses. Brilliant.
Are there any like progression pathways for learners after a course?
Yeah, so after a course, well, so if, for example, as Catherine was saying, for entry to, for example, a level 8, you need a level 7. So then once you've done your level 8, that, you know, then you can go on and apply for any level 9. So a level 9 would be a postgraduate diploma or a master's. And again, there are many of them that are Springboard funded as well. But equally, you know, a graduate then could go on and do, you know, a master's, you know, any type of master's that's available and that they're eligible for. So it does open up an awful lot of opportunity. And we do also see an awful lot of career progression with our Springboard students. Like very often, even before the course has finished, you know, they might say, oh, I've got a promotion, because like, as you're saying, they're in areas that are really hard to fill, like, you know, they're high skill needs. So, you know, the world is their oyster, really. Yeah.
And can you give us finally just some examples of the types of programs that you have on offer?
Yeah, okay, so I'll just highlight some of the ones that we have in the University of Galway. So we at level 8, so that's basically degree level, we have a certificate in medical technology, regulatory affairs and operations. You know, that kind of speaks to there's a big medical technology hub in Galway and in the West in general, as you know. Then we also have ones in automation and control. There's a big drive towards automation and digitalization. We have a diploma in software engineering also at level 8. Then we have postgraduate programs. We have one newish one in certificate in creative arts management, and I believe we have a graduate of that who's going to speak later on. Then we also have a master's in ag innovation that's doing really well. Very interesting course. And then on the ICT, on the skills conversion side, so these are the 1 or 2 year courses. We have postgraduate diplomas in cloud computing, and we also have one in cybersecurity. So they're new and very interesting courses. And then from the HCI Pillar 1 side, we have data analytics, visualization, we have financial analysis, and then we have a very exciting postgraduate diploma in construction innovation. So there's huge skill needs around the area of construction and digitalization of construction, and, you know, new and advanced materials and that. So they're the main ones, I think, the new ones that we're excited about.
Lovely. Thanks so much, Niamh. And you've lined me up nicely for our next speaker. So some of the most valuable feedback we can give you is direct from a learner. So we're delighted to have Laura here today. And Laura recently completed the postgrad cert in creative arts management. Laura, this sounds like a really interesting course. Can you tell us what your motivation was in taking this course?
Yeah, absolutely. It was a fantastic course. So I had an undergraduate degree, so I came in as a recent graduate in drama and sociology studies. which was amazing. But after that, I really struggled to get a job, even though there was lots of jobs out there. I didn't really have the exact skill set. I didn't know any of the technology or the systems, I suppose, or exactly how it worked, because it's quite a niche sector, the art sector. So I was looking around for a course that would be practical, and this popped up, and it was perfect for me because I could learn to a high level. It's a level 9, without having to go back full time, which was something I couldn't have afforded, especially not with the fees. So mine recovered 90%, as mentioned, and it meant that I could work at the same time, do my assignments, and meet other people. It was great, like networking thing, specifically for this sector as well.
Okay. And Laura, how did you manage the online learning components?
Yeah, so for my course in particular, it was 1 day a week and it was online. So for me, that was great. I actually live in Kildare, so I didn't need to move. I didn't need to do anything, but I got a great education in Galway, which is obviously an artistic hub. So it was incredible. We did have some blended options where we had guest speakers. So I made a couple of day trips down, which was fantastic. And I got to meet my peers, which I'd really recommend if your course does have. And there was guest speakers as well for that. So the workload was fine. I was able to work 3 or 4 days a week on the side, keep my money coming, keep my sanity. And also I was well able to keep up with the workload. Everyone was really supportive. The assignments are really centered around the work you want to do. So you're usually passionate about them and they make a lot of sense. They're not like the ones where you're trying to learn a load of new things and figure out what they even mean. And yeah, the lectures were all very flexible. If you had any issues, like there was even one deadline that we were communicated to the lecturer and everyone was feeling a bit under pressure, just the time of year. Obviously, a lot of us were working and we were able to work around that and add some more group work components. So yeah, I thought it was great time-wise.
And how did the program benefit you, both personally and professionally?
Okay, so professionally, you might see from my background, I now work in the Abbey Theatre Dublin as events coordinator, which is like a dream come true. So professionally, through the transferable skills that I was talking about, it really linked to the work I wanted to do and pursue. So I also have like a lot of moving parts where we'd have projects that we were able to do. So things like Arts Council grants, I'd be much more adept on those than ever before, which really stood to me. I was also lucky enough to have a placement here in the Abbey. So we had a placement component and they worked around what kind of, it had to be 40 hours, but you could do it part-time, you could do it all in one go. I was able to do it in one go and I did a few weeks here in the Abbey. And I was lucky enough that a position was advertised afterwards here at the Abbey for events coordinator. And I had learned such skills that really they couldn't pass up on me because I knew everything. And it wasn't just from my placement, because my placement was actually in a completely different department to the one I work in now. It was actually from the assignments and the things that we learned in class and the technological skills, because there's a lot more servers and technology in this than you think. It's not all glamorous. But yeah, I think it really bridged the gap for me professionally. I think even if I didn't get a job in my placement here, I was feeling very confident going out into the workforce and that I would find a position elsewhere in the arts. I really was. And then personally, it was just really great for my confidence. I finished college during COVID and it was kind of a hard world to come out into, and I wasn't sure if I would actually be able to make it in this sector that seems really hard to get into, but there's loads of jobs in and nobody's getting the jobs. So where are the jobs going? So when I came in, everyone was so supportive in the University of Galway, and everyone in the course had such different backgrounds. So it was just really great to make a lot of contacts and friends, and we were uplifting each other. I mean, we were only all chatting the other day about some opportunities that we saw online. So personally as well, I just had a really fun time.
That's the most important thing, Laura.
Yeah.
Thanks so much, Laura, for taking the time to be with us today, and congratulations. It certainly seems like a dream job, and we want to wish you continued success in your future career.
Thanks very much.
Thank you, Laura. Now we'll move on to the question and answer session. So if you do have any queries, please use the Q&A facility on screen. I do see a lot of queries coming in there, but I'll now hand you over to Denise Rocks from Regional Skills West.
Thanks so much, Hilary, and thanks to everyone who's presented and shared their story or shared information so far. So yeah, we have a couple of questions coming through while I bring those up. If you do have a question, there's the chat box or there's a Q&A box. So please do add your questions in, or you can raise your hand and we can unmute you if you're feeling particularly brave. But do remember we are recording. So if you'd rather the slightly more anonymous option, do add to the chat box or the Q&A box and we'll pick up your question there. So I know these have been partially answered in the chat box anyway, but for the benefit of everyone, so an initial question, I think Catherine might have come back on this one. You'd mentioned that there were a limit of 3 Springboard courses that you could do within a 5-year period. So if someone had, was borderline, if they completed 3, but it was since 2018, would they still be able to go forward for something? And they referenced in this particular case the HCI program, but I guess it'd be good to clarify if it applies to both Springboard and HCI, that rule.
Yeah, thanks, Denise. It does indeed. So the 3 out of 5, the 3 courses in a 5-year rolling period applies to both Springboard funded and Human Capital Initiative funding. Now, I did ask that the person who posed that question just to email me directly. It's very hard to make a call. Typically, it's a rolling 5 years. So if the 3 courses that you have completed in a rolling 5-year period finished in 2023, so you did one in 2023, 22, 21, you wouldn't be able to apply for 2 more years. But if you did one in 2018, 2019, 2021, 22 and 23 are gone, yes, you would. So it's much, if anybody wants to email me directly with that type of query and maybe outline the order in which they completed their studies in terms of the year of completion, we can make a definite call on it, but it's kind of on a case-by-case basis, just depending when the 3 courses were completed in terms of the current year of application, if that makes sense.
Sure, that's great, Catherine. So I suppose the takeaway message there is if you're not sure, reach out to whatever institution you're planning to apply to,
yeah,
and they'll be able to confirm or clarify for you. And then we also had a question. We know we have a lot of international learners who are perhaps based in Ireland who are asking about the stamp 1. Are they eligible to take the courses for stamp 1? I think Nuala was starting to answer this one from University of Galway. Nuala, do you want to chime in there?
I'll come in, and I was deferring to Catherine's expert knowledge as well on that one. Yeah, so it's the stamp 4, 5 and 6 is the requirement at the time of course commencement. You may be a stamp 1 holder, but you will need evidence of the other stamps. So I appreciate that's a little tricky for some people. It's a real requirement for us in terms of the oversight body. It's something that's really important. We need to adhere to those regulations because we have a regulatory piece around the funding. So yeah, but everyone's story is a little bit different, I suppose. And what I would suggest, as Catherine has recommended, just to contact the individual program coordinator or Springboard coordinator at the institution you're interested in applying to, because everyone's story is different and we may be able just to guide you a bit more on that. Sometimes upfront, those regulations seem very hard to digest, and maybe we can help you work through understanding them and see if there is a way to accommodate your application. But the stamp 4, 5 and 6 is a requirement, either of those, if you're an international student.
Great, yeah, thanks for clarifying that. And I suppose that applies to these Springboard funded courses, but if you're interested in other courses outside of that, you might be able to take them, just wouldn't be funded necessarily.
Absolutely, and that's a great point, Janice, and thanks for mentioning it. We're very much so open to all learners, and if it is a thing that you find that you're not eligible, I always say come and talk to us, because both in the University of Galway and in ATU we have flexible modes of fee payment, so we are very much so available to discuss how we can do an installment plan for you. Appreciate that it can be very expensive to fund your own studies, but just look on it, I would say, as an opportunity to upskill, and there will be benefits later on. So if we can help you on your payment plan, we will do so and enable you to engage with the program. These are not exclusive Springboard Plus or Pillar 1 courses. We are open to all learners. I suppose the function of today is to tell you that there is funding available, and what a wonderful initiative it is that it is here for us all.
Thank you, Nuala. And we have another question coming through. It's a general one, so I see Eamon nodding. He might want to take this one, and we'll throw him in the deep end here. So are the Springboard and the HCI courses, are the HCI courses on the Springboard website as well?
Yes, so the place to go to search for all courses, be they Springboard Plus, ICT skills, our HCI Human Capital Initiative is springboardcourses.ie. And I hope that everybody is hearing that there's a wide variety of courses from both ourselves at Atlantic Technological University and the University of Galway, as well as other providers around the country. And the important thing is that the students like Laura, and it's wonderful to hear Laura's story today, find the course that's right for them. So, feel free to browse all those courses at springboardcourses.ie. And for our own part at ATU, we have a real wide variety there, covering many disciplines, as do University of Galway, from analytics to culinary skills and culinary arts, to medtech, biopharma, and covering all levels on the NFQ, from level 6 right up to level 9. So there really is something there for everybody. And those courses many are online, blended. Even the blended portions can be on block. So it might be in a particular week at the end of term. It's not like it's every day, days every week during the year. So just check out the information on the courses on springboardcourses.ie, or get in touch with us if you have any questions. There's plenty of contact us details on all of those Springboard pages. I would encourage people to have a look. And new courses coming on all the time. I'll give a shout out to Supply Chain Analytics at ATU Donegal, and indeed, for our own part, we've a really nice new niche course in marine spatial planning, which is about planning for offshore wind, which is a January start at ATU Galway Mayo. So there really is something there for everybody, and I'd encourage people to check them all out. And thank you, and Denise and Hilary, for organising this event today. I think it's great. So looking forward to the next batch of students coming on from September.
Speaking of the next batch of students and Laura's experience, Laura, there's a question in for you. So someone I think was inspired by you speaking about the Creative Arts Management course. So Sinead would like to know, is a large part of the course outside of the placement, is a large part of it quite technical? So it sounded like you referenced it a little bit when you were speaking earlier. Is a lot of it looking at and learning new systems?
So it kind of depends on what you fully mean by technical. I'm not sure what they mean, but yes and no. So the thing about the art sector, particularly like theatre and creative arts, is a lot of companies use different systems now, but they have so you can't directly learn them all. It would kind of be a waste of your time per se. But what the course really does is give you the exact kind of overview of any information you need to know to pick up these systems when you go in for training. So all of the things like the niche words that they might use, what a box office system is, how something like the Arts Council works. And what we did go over the Arts Council website and things like that, the really the overarching things, we would look at those systems and how you submit applications, how you should structure reports and things like that. So it's really setting you up to be able to go into the workplace and do your orientation and pick up these systems much quicker than somebody who hadn't done this course. And it is clear to see, even from myself coming in, we use a system that isn't used in any other theatre in Ireland, and the learning curve for me has not been as steep as they've seen anyone else so far. Not to toot my own horn, but I just felt really prepared coming in. I kind of knew what would be coming onto my plate, and it's really stood to me. And then in terms of technology, if they meant more on the technology side, there are presentations, there is the full Microsoft suite and things like that. But there were also people in my course that didn't really know how to use PowerPoint and learned how to use PowerPoint by the end. Everybody learns on their own level. And then for me, I came in quite technology, advanced. I love technology. And I was able to upskill my part as well. I built a website for one of my assignments, but people who just did a PowerPoint got the same grade, I'm sure, because their presentation worked for what they were working on, what industry they were focusing on. So there's a lot of opportunity to go down different avenues. And I would say if you're really interested in systems, that's something you should speak to. I don't know if Patrick Donegan is in charge of the course again this year, but that's something that's actually really great to explore on your placement. And he's very knowledgeable. So if there's one you were looking at in particular, he might be able to place you somewhere where they'll give you experience directly with that system.
Thanks.
I hope that helps.
Thanks so much, Laura. And I think Nuala's going to maybe add to that, and so eloquently put. Thank you for sharing.
Well, I can't say it any better than Laura said it. She is the perfect example of somebody who's expressing wonderful transferable skills. And Laura's explanation of being adaptable to the workplace, having learned some technologies in the course, is exactly what any education and institution wants to empower to their learners, the ability to adapt. And Laura, that's fantastically put. The other maybe quick point I'd mention to the listeners today, Denise, is that in learning and in your journey, we mentioned earlier about progression pathways and recognition of prior learning was mentioned. I'm sure there's a lot of really experienced people on the call today who have excellent experience and maybe pockets of formal learning that they're just not sure how to put together. Really do talk to the institution you're interested in applying to, because we will recognize prior learning. That's really valuable. And the final thing I'd say is that there's a lot of, shorter courses available through Springboard Plus, and they might be a 10 credit block. What I would suggest then is start looking out to build your pathways, and through a route called micro-credentialing, you can start your journey with a 10 credit and then stack with other skill sets. So think about those options. You won't solve your career pathways in the one go, but I always think, learning is a journey, it is lifelong, and there are many stages, and today is just the first start of it. If you haven't done anything in a while, definitely dip in and find a course that you might be interested in and look at that as your starting point. That would be my kind of parting word to those who are listening today.
Thanks so much, Nuala. And there are plenty of links about recognition of prior learning from both institutions there in the chat. And we do have probably one of almost our final questions. Is there an open day for these Springboard courses? Well, you're kind of attending one now in some ways, but I do know that the different institutions do have their own events as well. So, Niamh, you might speak about the University of Galway, if there were open days, if there will be more again, or how to get in touch. And then we'll go back to Catherine for ATU as well. You're just on mute, Niamh.
Yeah, sorry. So we did actually have an information evening a couple of weekends. Unfortunately, now that's gone, but we are open to anyone contacting us. So the contact information is on our Springboard webpage. So that's University of Galway /adult learning/Springboard. So we can talk through the options with anyone who wants to get in touch. That's no problem. So I would say, as well as that, we are very open to going out and speaking to companies. Like, we are totally open. We'll make ourselves available to visit companies. I mean, if there's a number of employees or that are interested, we can go out and visit you. That's no problem as well. Just to get in touch with myself or Nuala or any contact on the adult learning web pages.
Thanks so much, Niamh, and that's a really excellent point, that yes, you're all very willing to go out and be out and about in the community and in with employers if there are teams who want to learn about this.
Mm-hmm.
And similarly, what we've also done for some sectors is always had webinars like this for a specific sector. So if that interests you, just let us know and we can set that up too. And Catherine, did you want to add, if the ATU, have they already had their open days? Are there any more coming up?
Pretty similar to Niamh, and just to echo what she has said, yes, we would have had 4 virtual open evenings over the month of May, or the months of May and June, but actually all of those events were recorded and all of the information is actually available on YouTube. Now I'll have a quick look, and if I can get those YouTube clips linked into the chat, I'll certainly do that. But all of the different key areas for all of our online flexible and professional development programs were covered, along with different supports that are offered for students, as well as Springboard specific courses. Typically we link into any of the main open days that the college are holding for full-time students, online students, and we would link into all of those all of the time. So again, just have a look at the ATU website, have a look at our events calendar, and you'll certainly be able to pick those up. But exactly as Niamh has said, we're all here all of the time, at the end of an email or at the end of a phone, if anybody has any query or question. But I would encourage any interested applicant to go to YouTube, just look for Atlantic Technological University, and you'll be able to locate those virtual events that would have been recorded and popped up there over the last few weeks.
Thanks so much, Catherine. That's great. It's a handy resource for people to be able to go back to then. And there are thanks coming through from the people who've asked the questions. So thanks to Laura as well for the answer you gave. Sinead was thanking you for your answer. And so we're getting nice replies from the participants. I think we're just getting over time now, so we'll wrap up. I just wanted to say thanks to all of the speakers who joined us here today and made their time available so that they could spread the news about these funded courses. You have all their details. We'll send an email out after this as well. So you've all registered on Eventbrite. Through Eventbrite, you'll get an email with links and with all this kind of information that we've shared throughout the call today. And a special thanks to Laura as well. And Laura, thanks for giving up your time to join us and share your testimonial, I suppose, of the experience you had. We really appreciate that. And congratulations on your new role. Hopefully there'll be many more congratulations for promotions and new roles for some of the people on the call today. Not the people who are on the screen right now, all the people who are going to go and sign up now for Springboard Courses and take their career to the next level. If there are any further words? No, I think we're good. No more questions. Great, thanks so much, and thanks to everybody who joined us today for the call. We hope you got something out of it, and plenty of ways for you to get in touch with us afterwards if you have more questions.
Great. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks very much, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.